A very warm welcome to
Yes.
the Representative Sharon Clayton, the Deputy Speaker of the Australian House of Representatives, Representative Susan Ray Templeman, Senator Jen Rice, Representative Dr. Sophie Anna Scam, and we have also with us the representative of the Office of Tibet, Mr. Thomas Singhi, and Executive, the Officer of the Australia-Tibet Council, Joy Bedford, with us today. And I'm very grateful for you to be with our press. You know, the most of the press, the members of the press are from the Tibetan media and for some Indian media, for the national media. You know, so it is really, I'm really grateful that you have considered to be with us and meet the press during your visit to Dharamsala. Without wasting much time, I would like to first start with the conversation to the press, your statement or your to the press, and then after that, if we have a little time, you know, we can have the question and answer sessions, and the media can also pass comments, whatever, you know. So we'll have, I think, little time after the statements by the members of the Parliament from Australia. So I would first request.
So we'll start with me. We'll start with me. Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Susan Templeman, one of the co-leaders of this delegation, along with Senator Janet Rice, and we're very pleased to be joined by the Deputy Speaker, Sharon Clayton, and Member for Parliament, Sophie Scam. We're very pleased to be here to say to you that we are here, by the way, at the invitation of the Tibet Information Office, and we're very grateful for the invitation, which has allowed us to meet already with many key people within the Dharamsala and Tibetan community and understand the issues that you face. Australia has recognised that there are real challenges for Tibetans and in Tibet, and we recognise that there are threats to culture and education, language, and your Tibetan way of life. So we're very pleased to be here to get a deeper insight into those issues and to see what we can do as an Australian friend to be able to assist. Now, we are not representing the government here. We are part of a group of members of Parliament and senators who are called the All-Party Parliamentary Friendship Group for Tibet. So we are here in that capacity and very honoured to be so. I'm going to ask Senator Janet Rice to say a few words, and then Sharon Clayton, Deputy Speaker Sharon Clayton, will say a few words, followed by Sophie.
Hello everyone. It is such a privilege to be here in Dharamsala and such a privilege to be meeting with the Tibetan community and to be working with the members of the Tibetan community here to be raising the profile of the serious human rights issues that are being faced by Tibetans in Tibet. I have been advocating for the people of Tibet for quite a long time, including giving many speeches in our Parliament in Australia. And last year I attended the World Parliamentary Congress on Tibet in Washington, where I met some of the people like the Deputy Speaker and the Sikyong in Washington last year. And it has been so special to be here in Dharamsala and to meet again with them, to meet them like old friends, and to be able to be really focused on what needs to happen and what we can be doing as Australian parliamentarians to be working for the people of Tibet and working for the whole Tibetan environment in particular as well, and sort of protecting the Tibetan environment, protecting and working for good, for justice for the people of Tibet. All of us here have known, we have done a lot of research and understanding of some of the issues that are being faced by the people of Tibet. Some of the things like the forced, the Chinese boarding schools that Tibetan children are now being forced to be going and doing their schooling in is just so heartbreaking to be hearing what is now going on in Tibet. But it has been wonderful to get a sense of hope and a sense of inspiration from the Tibetan people who are here in Dharamsala, and to be meeting with the Parliament, to be meeting with ministers, to be meeting with the Dalai Lama, it has just been a great inspiration, and certainly leaves me feeling that when we return to Australia, that we will continue to work tirelessly to be trying to be getting justice for the people of Tibet.
Thank you. Firstly, an enormous thanks also from me to the Tibetan Information Office for the kind invitation to join you, to visit you in Dharamshala. We obviously couldn't be here without that generous invitation, so a great gratitude from all of us. I also want to acknowledge the parliamentary chairs, both Susan Templeman and Janet Rice, who are leading this delegation. I, by very good fortune as the Deputy Speaker, have been able to join this delegation where I get to meet my counterpart in the Tibetan administration. And that was a great honour for me. Throughout the few days that we have been here, we've managed to pack a lot into a couple of days, and it's not over yet. I have heard everywhere I've gone about the extraordinary spirit and resilience of the Tibetan people and the hope that our visit is bringing to some Tibetan people at least. But I want to say to you that the hope you give us is even greater. I have seen firsthand the extraordinary operation of a government in exile. And this is a most unusual situation. I chair a parliament in Australia where there are, very, very long-standing traditions and an interesting collation of both Westminster and Washington in terms of our practice in Parliament. But never have we had to face the challenges that the Tibetan government in exile or the CTA have to. And it is the most extraordinary innovation in democracy that I have seen. And I really do want to pay tribute to all of your parliamentarians, to the Tibetan people across the globe who participate as active citizens in a democracy where they are very far removed from where that power might sit. And I know that this is an important thing for Tibetans across the world because each of us represent Tibetans who live in exile. I'm a Deputy Speaker, as you know, of the Australian Parliament, but I'm also the member for Newcastle. It's a city just north of Sydney. I have a small but growing Tibetan community. There are about 180 Tibetan people living in my area. I represent them in the Australian Parliament as well as all the other people that live in my electorate. But they tell me that they also participate in conversations and decision making with your government here in Dharamshala. So that is a highly successful model of democracy when you are able to have citizens scattered across the globe, not always of their own choosing, of course, and we must recognise that, but to see the active engagement of citizens in democracy is, it fills my heart with joy and hope. And so I won't pretend otherwise. Sometimes I've not been hopeful about the situation for Tibetans, both in Tibet and outside. There are challenges you face whether you live in Tibet or you live in exile, and they can never be underestimated. But your system of government, your commitment to democracy, and the really strong engagement of people, democracy is worth nothing if its citizens are not engaged in it. It's your citizens that hold you to account. And, we could only hope to have that kind of commitment from citizens engaged in democratic institutions everywhere. So thank you. That is my message back to you as representing the national media here, to all the people that you will communicate with. I say sincerely thank you. You are showing the world a model of democracy that is truly innovative and is a great wellspring of hope for many democracies across the world. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sophie Scomps, and I'd also like to reiterate how grateful we are to be able to have travelled here to India to meet with His Holiness and the Tibetan government in exile. It has been a wonderful experience and we're very honoured. I'd like to also share that I'm very fortunate. I'm an MP in Sydney, and there is a very large and vibrant Tibetan community that lives in my electorate, and I want to convey that they are thriving and they are very proud of their culture, particularly the young children, and they have the freedom there to learn about their culture and their dance and their language, and we are very proud to be supporting them as well, and I know you would be very proud of them as well. It's been emphasised to me repeatedly while we've been here how grateful and thankful the Tibetan people are for the protection that the Australian government has provided to these many Tibetan people in our country, and their hopes that this will continue, and that of course is a message that we will convey to the government. I'd also like to reiterate that we have a lot of shared values. We are two strong democracies, and we have so many shared values that are centre on human rights and freedoms of religious expression and cultural expression. So there's a lot of similarity and a lot of friendship between our cultures and our countries. And again, we are very grateful to have been invited here to meet you all. Thank you.